Okay, so we're going to go through a functional movement screen. This is basically to help any new starters to understand what the procedure should look like, and for any of the guys out there that have been working for a while and need a little refresher as well. So hopefully everything we go through here today will help the new starters and refresh people's memories on how to do a screen. Ultimately, the goal of this video is to make sure that whenever someone does get screened, that they get screened in exactly the same way. So if I did it or if someone else did it on a particular client, they'd pretty much, well, they should get exactly the same score. And that way we can make sure it's a repeatable and valid test or screen. So just as a little heads up, most sites should have this book. In each site, this is the movement book by Gray Cook, who came up with the screen. If you ever have any questions or answers or things that you need answering, then this book will tend to show you the right way to find those answers. So it's got all the instructions that you need to do a screen in it, and it's got all the theory and the background information about why we should use something like this on our clients. Okay, so make sure you have a look at that. So we're going to use our lovely assistant here, Jane, to screen, and I'm going to show you all the things that you guys need to be making sure you do to make sure that the screen is repeatable each time it's done by different people or yourself. Okay, so the first part of the screen is going to look at the deep squat. Me as the instructor, it's quite important that I don't actually do any visual demonstrations of the movement to the client, because what we're looking for is just what their instinctive movement is going to be, rather than giving them some visual cues on what it should look like. So that's the first thing. Try not to do any sort of physical demonstrations. But we're going to look at deep squat. So we need to make sure that we get the hands in the right place on the dowel initially. So give the client a dowel, so their knuckles on top like that, and then you're just going to get them to rest the dowel on top of their head. And just make sure, if you face the camera, just make sure that the elbows are at 90 degrees with that hand position. So if they're any closer or further away, just get them into position so you've got a roughly sort of a 90-degree angle in both elbows. Then you get them to straighten their arms, so as straight as you can. And then feet can be about hip width apart, and try and keep the feet straight. We don't really need any out toeing for this screen. And in this position, we just want to ask the client to descend down, trying to keep the heels on the floor and the torso as upright as you can into the lowest position you can possibly get to. So just descend down into that. Okay. And if we get into this kind of position, that's actually pretty much a 3, where we've got a nice vertical torso. The torso is in line with the tibia, and the hands are still straight above the head. So if you come back up out of that position. Now, if we're not going to get anywhere near that position with the client, or they can't get to that kind of position, then the next stage, if it's not going to be a 3, that would score a 3, we're going to give them a little heel raise to make that a little bit easier. So what you do is use the FMS test kit, just pop the heels up, okay, and then just do exactly the same thing. Just descend down as far as you can, hold that bottom position for maybe a second or so, and then if they can get all the way down, it should free up the movement a little bit for a lot of people. That's going to score a 2. If they can't get all the way down to that bottom position with the heel raise, then it's a 1. And if there's any pain with that movement, then it scores a 0. Okay, so we're just going to rest your arms and grab that back. So that's the first screen. That's the deep squat. So there's kind of 3 ways to score that. Ultimately, the scoring system just means 3 is perfect, 2 is imperfect, and 1 is an inability to do the movement, where 0 would be pain on that movement. Okay, so the next one we do is the hurdle step. So we're going to set up the FMS kit here, just on its edge. We're going to grab the 2 extra bits that go in these holes with the scales on them. So one in there, one in there. Okay, and then we just pop the band across. Then we're going to take a measurement from the client's leg. So just make sure whatever scale you're going to use on the hurdle obviously matches the scale that you're going to use on the dowel. There's 2 scales, one on each side, so we'll use this one. And we're just going to take a measurement from the tibial tuberosity, which is the little bump at the bottom, just below the knee. And here we can see that that's going to be roughly 17 on there. So we'll move the dowel up to 7. I mean the band up to 17 here, down to 17 here. Okay, so we've set that up. Now we're just going to get the client to stand feet together with the toes just touching the test kit. Okay, then the dowel rests on the shoulders. And from here, you're just going to instruct the client to take a step over the hurdle with one leg, trying to touch the heel on the other side of the hurdle, and trying to maintain ankle, knee, and hip alignment as they do that. Okay, so we're just going to step over the hurdle, just try that, and then touch the heel down, and then bring it back over. Try and sort of cue so they're not looking at their feet, just looking kind of straight ahead would be quite good. You can do up to 3 reps on each side. So just go again. What we're looking for, can the client maintain full hip extension on the stance leg and get into hip flexion onto the moving leg without sort of kicking the hurdle over. And another good thing to look for is whether the dowel is moving side to side and they're losing that alignment between the pelvis and the shoulders as they step over. So it's going to be a 3 is going to be perfect alignment on the knee, ankle, hip, no sort of moving. A 2 would be trying to get over that hurdle with a little bit of a misalignment as they step over, and then a 1 would be they'd be kicking it over or something like that. So then just not getting the movement right over the hurdle and touching the heel down the other side. So that's the 3, 2, 1. You're obviously going to do it on both sides. So we've got a left-right test on this one, and make sure that you score that on the score sheet as well. Okay. So that's the hurdle step. We would do that on both sides, but we won't do that for the sake of time here. The next one we're going to do is just taking the poles out of the test kit, move that flat onto its back, and we're going to go into the inline lunge next. So this time it's quite important because this can be a little bit fiddly to try and you can demonstrate how to hold the dowel, because you're not demonstrating any movement, you're just demonstrating the setup. Okay, so what I tend to do is just say I want you to hold the dowel, so you've got one hand in the small of the back, one hand behind the neck, and then 3 points of contact on the dowel. So you've got back of the head, upper back, and then just top of the bum like that. So that's how you want the client to hold the dowel. Okay, and then we're going to use so the up arm is always the arm, the side the foot starts on 0. So if you just stand on the test kit with your toes on in line with that red line. That's it. Okay, and then the other foot's going to come forward, so the heel is just on the number that you measured off their leg. So we've got 17 on here, so we use the scale here, so our heel's in line with 17 on there. And then we're going to try instruct the client to descend down so that the back knee touches the test kit behind the heel of the front foot. And we're trying to make sure that they maintain those 3 points of contact on the dowel as they do that. So you just try a couple of reps. So you go straight down and then back up. Okay, just do one more of those. Okay, and then back up. And all you can step off now. So the way we're scoring that is if they get that movement perfect with the trunk nice and vertical, the knee touching the centre of the test kit, and they've got a nice sort of narrow base of support on the lunge and they do it perfectly, that's going to be a 3. If there's any sort of deviation, maybe the knee's not touching the centre of the test kit, or they lose one of those points of contact on the dowel, maybe the head drops forward, or the torso means that the one at the bottom moves off the top of the bum, then we're going to score a 2. And then 1 would be an inability to complete that movement, so maybe they're falling off or they're not getting down to the test kit, that would be a 1. So again, you can do maximum 3 reps. Do left and right side. The important thing to remember for this is the arm that's up is the foot that goes on 0, and the side that you're scoring is the foot that's at the front. So for the test that we just did, that would have been your left side because their left foot was forward. Okay, so on the score sheet, that's the thing that's the score that you put on, and then you switch feet forward and score the right side with the right foot forward. Okay, it's important to remember that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something good or bad with the left or right side. It's just for the sake of scoring that pattern on the score sheet. Okay. So the next one we're going to do is the shoulder mobility. So we're going to use the scale again for this, and we're going to take a measurement. It's probably better off using the smaller scale this time. Take a measurement from the client's hand. So we're just going to find the first crease in the wrist and just line that up with the scale and take a measurement up to the top of the middle finger, okay, so, or the longest finger. So that's 18 for Jane. And we're going to use that measurement to guide us as to whether it's going to be 3, 2, 1 on the mobility test. So if she can get her hands within a hand length behind her back on the movement that I'll show you in a minute, then that's going to be a 3. You add a half to that for a 2. Then anything outside a hand and a half length, or on or outside a hand and a half length, is going to be a 1. Okay, and then 0 if there's pain. You haven't had any pain with any of the movements so far, have you? Okay, so no zeros. Right, so if you just pop your thumbs in fists like that and stand with your back to the camera, and we're going to have, yeah, that's right, feet together. We're going to go arms out to the side first, and then in one smooth movement, just one arm at the top and one arm at the bottom. See how close you can get your hands together. So obviously I don't need the scale to see that that's going to be a 3, because she's well inside the 18 marker. And just for point of reference, it's just the 2 closest points, so that doesn't matter which part of the hand, just the 2 closest points of the hand that you're trying to take a measurement from, okay? So that would be a score for her right side, because it's the top arm that you're scoring, okay? So we'll try, just have a look at the other side, see if there's any difference. So one smooth movement, we don't want people sort of shuffling into place, we just want one nice instinctive smooth movement, and again that's going to be a 3 for that as well. So, and that's going to be our left side, because we're scoring the top arm, okay? So that's the test for the shoulder mobility. We're now going to do a clearing test for the shoulder, which is just a simple pain or no pain score. So this is one of the screens that we use where we don't score the 3, 2, 1, it's just pain or no pain, okay? So palm on the opposite shoulder, and just maintaining that palm placement, we just want to see if they can lift the elbow up, so without losing palm placement, and then just see if there's any pain on that at all. If there's any pain on that, then that's going to be something that we want to let the physios be aware of, and it's going to potentially affect some of the programming decisions that we make for the upper body. The other thing to be sort of conscious of is it's not necessarily how high the elbow goes. You don't have to see a big lift of the elbow. It's just can they maintain palm placement and lift the elbow without pain. Okay, so you do that on both sides, and it's just a pain or no pain score. Okay. The next one we do after this is the active straight leg raise. So because we're going to get the client lying on the floor for this, it's quite handy to have a mat. So we're just going to grab a mat here, and we'll go long ways for the sake of the camera. Okay, so we're going to get the client to lie down with head up this end and then back of the knees resting on the test kit. Okay, so we're going to use the dowel just to help guide us for the sake of scoring, but the positioning that we want the client to be in is flat on the back, hands by their sides, straight legs, and then toes just up towards the body. Okay, so we're going to use the top of the non-moving limb just to gauge how we're going to measure this. So take the top of the pelvis and mid-thigh, and you can place the dowel sort of average sort of mid-thigh between the knee joint there, okay? And this is going to basically slice up the zones for the scoring. So if she's going to move this leg in a minute, however, if she can get her ankle bone between the zone of the sort of well, anything past this dowel basically, if she can get her ankle bone with a nice straight leg past this dowel, she's going to be in the zone for a 3. If she can only get it not quite to the dowel but ahead of the knee joint, so this zone here, that's going to be your score for a 2. And if she can't get her ankle bone further than the knee joint, the middle of the knee joint, then that's going to be a 1. And then if she's got pain with it, that's a 0. Okay, so if you basically just keeping the non-moving limb in contact, so we've got to make sure that this non-moving limb stays in contact with the test kit, and then keeping this leg as straight as you can with the toes towards you, just go as far as you can, lift it up nice and straight. Okay, and then back down. Okay, so as you can see, she's getting her ankle bone nicely ahead of that sort of mid-thigh position, and there's not much compensation going on with the other leg. If you do get a client that sort of throws the leg up and this leg goes all over the place, get them to slow down and put your hand on the opposite knee and tell them when to stop if you feel any movement coming from the opposite leg, okay, so that you can gauge where the true sort of active leg raise range of motion is, okay. So that's obviously we're going to do left and right side for that, and we're going to score the moving limb for on the score sheet. Okay, so that's the active straight leg raise. The next one we're going to do is the trunk stability push up. So you can get rid of the test kit for this bit, and we're going to get the client to lie down on their front this time. And this is the only test in all, or only screen in all of the screens that we use where there's going to be a slight difference for the male and female population. Okay, so for the female population, start position for the hands is going to be in line with the chin. Okay, so we have the start position, thumbs in line with the chin, and hands about shoulder width. Okay, we're going to make sure they're up on their toes. They can lift the knees, and we're going to lift the elbows up as well before we do the push up. Okay, so trunk stability push up. What we're looking for here is making sure can they maintain this position in the trunk, nice solid flat trunk position as they lift up. So there's no delay between the lower body and the upper body. It all comes up at the same time. Okay, so we're just going to push up in one go. Okay, not bad. And then we'll come back down again. So if we see maybe something a little bit worse than that, where or maybe the upper body shoots up, or there's a big sag in the lower back and the trunk isn't stabilizing very well, that means it's not going to be a 3, and it's not perfect. So we're going to pull the hands down a little bit so they're in line with the clavicle, okay, or the collarbone. In that position, thumbs in line, so we've got a little bit more of an advantageous position for the upper body to push up, and then we'll go again. So just push up from there, okay, and then back down. So that would be, in that hand position, that would score a 2, okay. The only difference for, obviously if there's still a big delay or the movement doesn't look nice and solid as they push up, then that's going to be a 1. So with the hand position in the second position, if they're still not getting up in one go, then that's going to be a 1 score. For the guys, the only difference is to get the 3, the hands have to be up at temple height for the 3, and they move down to chin level for the 2. Okay. We then do another clearing test when they're in this position. So this time, regardless male or female, we bring the hands down to clavicle level again. We keep the lower body on the floor, and we're just going to look for any pain in extension, so in lumbar extension. So we're just going to lift the upper body off the ground, and you just ask for pain or no pain. No pain?
No pain.
No pain. So you just tick that off, no pain. Again, it might be something that you need to refer out to if you're getting pain on those things, or pain on any of the screens might mean that you're probably going to have to refer to a physio before we start training the client in the gym. Okay. So that's the trunk stability push up. 2 more screens to go. One of the main. So we're going to do a rotary stability next, and then another clearing test to finish off. Okay. So this is one of the other sort of screens where you might want to demonstrate the start position first before because it's quite hard to verbalise how to get them into position. So again, we're not going to demonstrate any of the movement, we're just going to show the client where we want them to start, and it's so it's easier than us trying to talk them into that position. So all we do is go toes on the test kit, knees on the test kit, thumbs touching the test kit. So we've got 6 points of contact. We have the shoulders over hands and the hips over knees. So we've got that all fours position, but quite a narrow base of support, if you like. Okay, so if you just get yourself into that position, okay, so just come up onto your toes like that, that's it. Okay, and we just make sure we've got a nice sort of 90-degree angles everywhere. That looks pretty good. And now this is going to be one of the screens that a lot of people will find difficult to score a 3 on, obviously if you can see straight away it's going to be difficult for them to get the 3, then we don't want to hang around too long and make them feel bad. We just get on with it and give them the easier version, but we may as well screen just in case. So what I want you to do is you're going to simultaneously reach out in front with your right hand and reach out behind you with your right leg, and as if you were kind of flying like Superman on one side. So just see if you can give that a go. Okay, that's all right. So we've lost balance there. It's not going to be a 3. So again, because we're looking for asymmetries and things like that, we do need to test the other side. So even if they don't get it on one side, they might be able to achieve that on the other side. So we're just going to try on the other side, same thing, just see how we get on. Okay, that's fine, no problem. So we just move on nice and quickly. So you can sort of acknowledge that that's quite a tough test. And then we're going to make it a lot easier now by, and this is what's going to score a 2. We're going to do opposite arm, so right arm, left leg out behind, and we're going to make sure that they reach out to a nice extended position. And then what we want to try and get them to do is bring the arm in and the knee, the elbow and the knee together, so they make contact over the test kit. And we can try and do sort of 3 reps like that. And what you're looking for is, can they do that while simultaneously maintaining those other points of contact? So 1, 2, 3 on the test kit. Okay, so that's going to score a 2, and we're using the lead limb on the reaching arm to score it. Okay, so let's just try the other. We would do that for the other side, but just for the sake of time, that's going to be the rotary stability test there. And then the last clearing test, we're just going to do on all fours position, take the test kit out, okay, so back into all fours, just rock back onto your heels, and then reach out in front of you so your chest is on your knees, looking at lumbar flexion. Any pain for that? No pain, and that's the screen done there. Okay.